you're there, bro.
I'm here. The person you were talking about, the hammer, that was Tom DeLay.
Yeah. My boy Tom DeLay. He was great from Texas. I liked him. They try to make fun of him. I like Tom DeLay. I think he's cool. Hopefully he'll come back with it. And he was wearing the polyester. Oh man, the bad polyester from the 70s, like the brown stuff. I was thinking my dad. My dad had nothing but. He had a couple good suits, but he had a lot of polyester. You remember that, man? And he loved the polyester. It never messes up. And
let me just say, hitting on the stuff with our dad, whom we called Pop affectionately, I really appreciate Dana and Brendan and Lazarex coming in and talking today. I mean, it's an important thing. You know, we really appreciate all of their support and their work.
Go ahead, Dana. You can say something. You stood up. Okay. Yeah, we do. Of course, we appreciate their work. And you can check it out at lazarex.org. Lazarex. I'm not the good speller, but you know I can get it done. .org. Check it out and get to this freaking poker tournament.
That's right.
December 11th. It's going to be so cool. Prizes and everything. And guess what? Because Lazarex is now a gold sponsor of the John D. Villarreal syndicated radio show, we got a special little giveaway prize, a holiday prize situation. It's a fundraiser, but it's basically a way for you to get some seriously great I'd say presents and stuff like that for your loved ones and everything like that. It's basically, I'm not gonna tell you what it is right now. We're gonna start it up next week for the holiday season. Let's get Thanksgiving out of the way and in the books first. But we're gonna start this thing up. We're gonna be giving away $500 gift certificates for donations to the Lazarex Cancer Foundation. So basically, you're gonna get a huge dollar multiplier. I mean, a huge dollar multiplier. And this is going to be something you're going to love. You can give this to anybody in the family. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to start it up next week. And I may even give away a couple of them for free for people that really promote Lazarex. That's what we want to do. Lazarex.org. Now, Paul, and let's get Dr. Finance in here real quick. And let's get Paul in the mix as well. Dr. Finances, I'm calling you, we're going to call you Professor E, but we're really going to call you the Einstein of finance because you're super smart. Yeah, you like that? You see, you're German, and we know the Germans make great stuff, right? I had to take that from the ShamWow commercial because I love ShamWow, and I love those commercials and all those ShamWow remix. And all that type of stuff. Now, there's a lot of things going on right now. And I want to start it off with because there's a lot of people that are all about the Fed, the Federal Reserve, and everything like that, particularly in the Tea Party. And there's a lot of people that don't really understand it and everything like that. And I want you to kind of give us a gloss on what's up with this QE2. It's the monetary policy. They're printing some money. Tell me what that's about and tell me the impact you expect it to have.
Well, thank you, John. And first, I want to say thanks for inviting me on your show and the reference with Einstein, but I don't think I deserve that.
Come on, yes, you do.
Positive comment. In terms of the Federal Reserve, as we've seen over the last several months and the last year, the economy really isn't bouncing back the way we had hoped.
No.
And as such, the Federal Reserve Bank, in terms of their monetary policy, is taking extra steps to try and spur the economy. And when we talk about the economy, we have to understand that over 70% of the economy is driven by consumer spending.
Yeah, that's it. It's like me to go out and buy video games and cars and stuff like that.
Because companies right now, have record hoards of cash on their balance sheet, and they're not spending it. Why aren't they spending it? Because they're worried about what the economy. There's too much ambiguity about what's going to happen in the future. And banks are actually, they're starting to recover because they make a lot of their money based on the spread in interest rates.
That's right.
Right now, short-term interest rates are so low that they're able to build up their profitability from the big meltdown we had a couple years ago.
Yeah, they're borrowing for 0% basically from the government, and they're giving out credit card rates and that of 14% or more if you do depending on whatever. They're making money hand over fist, a lot of these people, and they're buying up smaller banks or whatever. Oh yeah, we bailed out Wall Street, baby, and they're doing better than ever. And in fact, I just saw on the news where supposedly there is a breaking story and investigation where there's rampant potential alleged insider trading on Wall Street. Oh, I'm so shocked about that, right? I mean, we need to get we need to get a handle on that. But what you said is important. I I heard that there's over $1 trillion of capital on the sidelines because businesses, they don't know what's the tax rate. Are the Bush tax cuts going to be here? Are they going to sunset? Which part of they still haven't voted on that? I mean, that's coming up at the end of the year. We've got these healthcare regulations and costs, and people don't know where that's going to go. There's a lot of uncertainty going on right now.
So the Fed is their last resort is to push us to spend more money.
So basically, they're throwing in $600 billion, and they're basically just printing this money, right? So, so it's kind of like this, right? We used to have a gold standard, so there was a fixed amount of money, right, that was based upon the actual gold in the world, or at least in Fort Knox or whatever, right? Now we have our own currency. So we basically, it's a fictitious standard, if you will, and it's a floating standard, if you will, right? Do I have that right? Okay.
Yes.
And so essentially, if they print more money, there's just more money they give out, and so each dollar is worth a little less or whatever, but you have more dollars. So it kind of makes things a little bit cheaper. It monetizes the debt, which basically means that if we print more money and we inflate it more, so in other words, if today you have $20,000 of debt and I give you $100,000 tomorrow, I mean, that's a super simplistic and not quite perfect analogy. You basically have more money to pay off that debt. It makes the debt worth less. But essentially what it does then is people that lend money say, hey, you know what? This isn't so great. I'm going to up the interest rates. So you have to continue to up interest rates to get people to lend money. And it becomes a cyclical thing. So if you have people that are really brilliant in there doing the right things and playing it right, maybe like playing, the slots at the, not slots, but, cards at Vegas or trading stocks, it can be a brilliant thing, and it can be a very nice, precise tool to help an economy balance out. But at the same time, it can blow you up, right, Eric?
That's a potential danger, because essentially what we're doing is we're borrowing money from the future. We're borrowing consumption from the future, and at some point you have to take your medicine. And so there is a concern there that in the future, if this doesn't work out, we're just going to end up a lot more in debt without the bounce back in the economy.
And people give the examples of those economies, whether it's in South America, or I believe Zaire, some of these other, Zimbabwe, some of these other places that went in hyperinflation, and you have to take a sack of money to the store just to buy some bread. It's pretty crazy. But let's talk about this. I mean, what's your best read on this? You think this is the right move, the wrong move, neutral move, not sure?
I would say I'm more in the not sure camp, because I'm given my Einsteinian background,
yes,
as you so noted. Sometimes the German philosophy is to take your medicine and then move on with life. And as we see in some of the German economies, that's what they're doing.
Austerity.
Yeah, they're not borrowing all that money to spur consumer spending. Instead, they're trying to take their medicine now, and hopefully, in the long term, they'll be better off. So,
well, and there's another side of this, right? And we're not going to just sit here and blow up, blast Obama and this and that, whatever. I mean, there is another side to this, which is if people, like the housing market and stuff like that, if we just keep some people like myself would say, hey, let the thing crash, let it correct, markets work out. But you could have a situation like Japan and some others where you just keep going in this deflationary spiral where people don't want to spend because next week it's going to be cheaper, or the next year or whatever, and pretty soon no one's doing anything. No one's buying, no one's spending, and the whole economy grinds to a halt. So there is deflationary spirals are a real threat too, yes?
Oh, yeah, perhaps even more so.
Right, and that's the scary thing. So I think that they want to err on the side of caution, and maybe we get a little bit overheated, but right now maybe that's not the worst thing. So, but what about, you said take your medicine. That's important, because this week we had a situation where the debt commission came out, Obama's debt commission, and Erskine Bowles and, I forget the other guy. Paul, what was the other guy's name? And I love that guy. I can't remember, from Wyoming or something like Simpson, Alan Simpson.
Yeah.
And they came out, and frankly, I like both those guys, and they came out and they said, listen, basically, the long story short, we want $3 in cuts for every $1 in tax increases. I don't like the increasing taxes, but we're going to get this debt and deficit under control. And they're talking about, putting Medicare, Social Security, everything on the table. I mean, they're talking about real answers here. And I'm not saying that's the exact thing that we need, but that's the kind of talk that we need to start getting where we need to get to. And people freaked out on both sides, right? Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, they are totally freaked out on both sides. So I didn't know if you were talking with.
No, and they are. So Professor Einstein, Einstein of finance. Hold on a second. So, tell me about this. getting real about this debt and deficit, how bad is it, and what is it going to take to rein it in?
Well, debt by itself is not bad. What it does is it levers potential gains, and it also levers potential losses. So from a company standpoint, if times are good, leverage is good because it makes things even better. But the problem is when things go bad, leverage can really hurt you, and it can force you into bankruptcy.
So what about the stuff for the country? Because we've seen Iceland, we've seen Portugal's now on the brink. Greece is in deep problems. They've talked about Spain. I mean, how bad is it? I mean, so far people continue to buy our debt and finance our debt, particularly overseas with China, Japan, and the others. But there's been noises now with China, and I don't know if that's just noise to leverage their currency fluctuations, what they want to do with the yuan, or if that's real. But at some point, they may not want to continue to finance what we're doing here. Is that a real danger?
Well, I think part of the comments about not wanting the U.S. dollar to be an international standard was partly political, based on North Korea and Russia.
Right.
But there is a potential risk, because I know China right now, instead of buying up more and more treasuries, they're spending money buying up commodities around the world to feed their manufacturing supply chain going into the future.
Oh, it's huge. 1.3 billion people, and they're just exploding over there. I mean, they've tried to slow down. They're still growing at a great clip. Now, they may have a problem when they've gone a little too hot on the real estate and other things like that, too. But they are really, really expanding. They're going to be a serious rival for us in terms of a superpower. There's no question about it. I mean, forget about Russia. China is the one that's coming on. Although they have some internal problems that they're going to have to deal with too. But my question is, on a 1 to 10, basically, to make this simplistic for the listening audience, right, the viewing audience, how bad do you put our debt and deficit right now? And then we're going to talk quickly about solutions.
Maybe 7.
Okay, so that's real. That's serious. That's like, you better get to the doctor and get things checked out. Start taking medicine now before you go to the ER.